is up 2-0 at match point up against No Tomorrow. No Tomorrow still playing with a substitute here today. We have June, or excuse me, not June, it's Jin. Sorry, June, you know, over on Tempo Storm, filling in for Jason, who ends up, you know, kind of not being here this weekend. And it's been, you know, I feel like, again, Jin has performed very, very well on the front line. Not necessarily catches the team out too much, but it's just Team Freedom we're talking about. A little bit too much to handle for No Tomorrow.
Especially on the battlegrounds, and again, I think it's up to No Tomorrow to potentially try and change that up a little bit. They've obviously liked first pick. I guess we'll find out now. They do change it up a little bit, Dread.
Gonna be going to not only a map pick, but Towers, or not Towers, Tomb of the Spider Queen is the map selected. This is a map that has disappeared from the world of competitive priority. Infernal Shrines, if you think that took a hit, Tomb of the Spider Queen, without a doubt, is the, you know, from second most, third most played for a majority of the regions to where did this map go? I think we saw like 2 to 3 of it in total, almost, between both Eastern and Western Clash. And most of those were still Eastern Clash, so it's an interesting selection. One that, I mean, immediately you got to be going, it's going to be hyphy, all-in characters left and right from No Tomorrow. They have to be looking for the kills, or they're going to go macro, which it just doesn't feel very No Tomorrow-esque, right? I mean, it's not their playstyle.
It's time to throw down.
Get the Kerrigans, get the Anubaraks.
Yeah.
What else? What other aggressive things? I think the first thing to keep in
Garage.
mind, we have to ban out the Medivh if that is the thought process, because not only does it help manipulate the 1-4 advantageous for the non-kill potential team, but also Force of Will into a Kerrigan combo is a, I mean, reabsorption as early as level 1 as well. I mean, it's not this full reabsorption, but you get what I'm saying here. It's a pretty good counter.
I just wonder, will No Tomorrow be willing to pick Garage? Because I think if Garage doesn't get banned, and then they don't pick it in the second rotation, I think it would likely go over to Freedom. And on this battleground, it's probably one of his better battlegrounds. It's really narrow when you look at the choke points going north and south on this battleground. It's easy to get good value out of Garrosh early. That's something I think that's going to be a threat, especially after we've seen so much Garrosh rise in popularity after the Western and Eastern Clash.
I think that's a really good point that you bring up. Other ones, maybe the Junkrat flying around. He's control over the map. And then Leoric. Suddenly, he's one that will probably rise to priority, especially if we end up seeing
I heard
ourselves.
Lee, and I was like, are you really going down that route?
Are you going Lee?
Yeah, it's like Leoric. It was like, I think that pause was intentional. You debated me.
Yeah, you know, I gave you the bamboozle there, but Leoric is one that raises in priority not only because his accent towards the map with the wave clear control he provides there, but oftentimes Blaze is very much in the meta, so much so that it's been in the 1-2 of every pick order so far here for Team Freedom. He's good in the matchup. Not only is he successful in the 1v1, having the percentile damage, but more importantly than anything, it's, again, he can win that 1v1 and cater to the rest of the map. If No Tomorrow does not go all in, I want like a Leo Junkrat slower play from them. Something. I just want him to go all in. Can we just ask for that? Can we just get them to go all in? Because it feels so much better whenever we see that from them.
I like it. You know, the one thing that Tomb of the Spider Queen brings out that most other battlegrounds don't have is mage play. You know, we've seen a lot of Jaina in the early part. We just saw Jaina in the last game. Chromie comes out. Gul'dan potentially. I think there's a lot that comes into that. If you actually go back to, I believe it was actually game number 1 of this year, was our lone Kel'Thuzad game, but that was Psalm. Just he's like, look, I can still play this hero for fun. I don't know if we'll see it now, but it does bring up a lot. Kel'Thas, Li Ming, all of those. And when you talk about Li Ming, it's hard not to say the name Yoda, as they're almost synonymous.
Well, yeah, I mean, Yoda, for all the heroes that he ends up making, like I would say if you were to build a highlight reel of just on one, it's got to be his Li Ming. It is world-class level, even though he's not a player that I would say goes to kind of international tournaments too frequently. Out of the few times we have seen him, this guy really knows how to, you know, use the disintegrate, get the resets, and hit critical mass. Draft for game 3 here. Blaze already removed, so, you know, the Leoric conversation is already gonzo.
Interesting. So, again, Medivh, if you are going for that blow-up all-in style, it feels like you have to take that off the board, right?
It feels that way. It's the okay, so for anybody wondering maybe why, as it gets let through, Maiev is going to be the ban. So there's 3 seconds difference from original W into this version of Force of Will, right? So we have 3 seconds more lethality for the opposite team. But then if you hit the proper one, that essentially means that you're giving them more effective HP overall over the skirmish. So what I'm trying to say is Force of Will is better into burst comps than it's ever been, but it's more rare in terms of usage, right? Which is going to make it less forgiving. But 5 to 8 seconds, my brain struggles to look at that and go, that's enough to be that big of a detriment, especially considering the baseline 20% increase. We'll find out, though. Medivh let through. Tyrael, Malfurion was the selection out of No Tomorrow. I will say normally I look at that and I go, love it, right? Also has the option to maybe move into something more offensive, but I do kind of wonder we see teams, some of the best teams in the world struggle with the coordination that those two kind of demand among one another. I feel like it might get a little bit scarier, especially when we look at the lockdown that Freedom has now. Diablo
I think the name should be swapped.
I agree.
Here, right?
Can we just give the old swap?
Because this is punishing. Like, you don't get punished much harder than the ley line, APOC, and into a lurking arm. You don't really make it out of that alive. Sanctification is going to have to be on point.
It's Sanctification, man. And Tyrael as a whole is such a beautiful beast when it comes to priority in this meta as it stands. I can't help but feel like every game I'm like, oh, I want him at the top, but then every single time I see so many picks that make it so hard to gain value, especially around that Sanctification. I don't know. I feel like it will be difficult. It's not as bad as some of the other compositions, but he's a hero that is definitely here to stay. And I'm glad that honestly, I'm very thankful he's made a showing in North America. I've been sad that he's been relevant in the rest of the world's metas and kind of disappeared, at least in 2017 from us. Second ban, Hanzo. So then who is the wave clear focus control that No Tomorrow's relying on? Is it that Junkrat? Seems like it has to be now that the Hanzo ban's there.
Okay, so the Tyrael I don't think is a show at all. I think they still might be able to go down the Anubarak route. Garrosh is still available, by the way. But, you know, we haven't seen a lot of Casanova on other heroes because he's been on the Maiev. But when it comes to other heroes that he's really shined on, the Greymane, he's averaging 3.6 kills per game in the early part of the year on Greymane. That's a really high number. He shines on that hero a lot. Tracer obviously being hovered here. But we also have Gul'dan to consider when we look at Jay Shrite. As you said, with the reabsorption and the way Medivh is, I don't think Jaina is going to be the answer for burst damage, but Gul'dan has enough potential burst damage while also having the sustain and wave clear. I think that might be something they could fall back on.
Tracer ends up being taken away. And No Tomorrow does not move in to the Greymane and some of the more orthodox picks. What would we like here? I feel like there's a Junkrat for the wave clear. Okay, so they're going a bit more. Well, then in that case, and you already have the Tyrael, who's your off laner? Because this is a bit of a conundrum. So macro-oriented that it should fall off. Even if the Leo goes off into the side trade and is advantageous, it still is going to be a very difficult team fight situation for No Tomorrow, mainly with initiations, especially if there's no Holy Ground. I will be very, very sad, Panda, with having a Leo and forcing the Entomb to be the only initiation opportunities. There's the Greymane as well. Synergizes. Okay, interesting. We'll figure out who that offlaner is going to be for No Tomorrow. But for now, Freedom. I feel like, honestly, almost anything is available at this point. If you are concerned about any lane mismatch towards bottom, I mean, now's your time to speak. Especially if the Leo trade is going to be something that you don't want on your hand, you can avoid it.
Remember when we talked about the Lutano hero pool? This is essentially taking away all of the main resources, which is Tracer, Hanzo, Greymane. Genji is available, but Genji doesn't necessarily give you that same type of sustain, anti-siege, because you already have the Medivh. It seems like you need something a little bit more standard. Tychus is pretty much going to be one of the last resorts, unless he has something new he wants to bust out here. And depending on their playstyle, they've obviously adapted well.
I think Tychus works the best when looking at the original formation of Medivh, Diablo as well. He does a really good job of going, okay, you guys win the team fight, I'll win the siege, right? You follow up the Web Weavers with a couple Odins.
Ooh.
Gul'dan.
Changing things up.
And Malthael. Interesting selection here for Team Freedom, especially knowing, I guess it is going to be a deterrent towards any kind of off-lane Beefcake, which you can assume, is going to be picked up here for No Tomorrow. Tyrael joined the 4. You talked about it doesn't have to be that way. Tyrael can go into the 4. If he does, I think Malthael will be not overly successful, not in the fact of killing him, but in terms of the macro control. Tyrael only can really shield and just kind of throw down Smite and Eldruins until he runs out of mana.
I keep forgetting about the Junkrat factor against Medivh. The concussion mine, wherever the portal goes down, especially.
I have a hard time with that too. I always look at Junkrat and I go, okay, I know what you do in fights, like I know what you, but when it comes to like the 1v1 matchups and some of the more unique ones, talking about unique ones, we've got ourselves one. Thrall is the last pick side lane. what are your thoughts here? You know, as a man who is more on the Thrall hype train than myself, how do we feel?
Awkward, I think, a little bit, because he doesn't necessarily do well in the solo lane, especially if you're looking to stack Crash Lightning. And then you look at Tomb of the Spider Queen, it's even more difficult because you're constantly rotating between lanes, and the probability that it hits a minion is pretty much the same as if you're trying to hit a hero. And it's got to bounce around to a hero to get value. And I think that's the hard part is I don't know if Thrall's going to have that immediate value. However, I do fall on your side of the tracks this time, where I think Sundering on this battleground, if you can come in with the flanks, especially that vulnerable backline of Stukov and Gul'dan, to really try and hit that and take control of fights.
I mean, the biggest thing, it's pretty much a pretty clear math problem in this game. If you go Sundering, you're going to see the straight line that turns everything gray. Then you're going to see all the red circles that is about to turn your team red, all right, in a couple of seconds. And whenever you see the APOC circles form, you go, this is it, boys. This is the Sunder. And just hit as many as you can every single time at the exact same of the explosion. It's enough to buy enough time to keep your team alive through the APOC combo. Well, maybe, hopefully it is. Well, I don't know. We'll find out here. No Tomorrow picking up the Thrall, choosing the map as well to go to Tomb of the Spider Queen. We'll see how they'll hold up here, as it is, again, match point.
I have a question for you. Like, when you hit that Sundering, does it control the Fulcrum?
Yes. Wait, well, in fact, it is the Fulcrum, right? So, yes, you are adjusting the size of said Fulcrum.
I'm totally going to search Fulcrum tonight and kind of educate myself.
Yeah, well, I honestly, probably worst of all is probably it's like actually not the proper word and it's like slightly off. And then I look like a dingus the whole time talking about simple machines. Be like, good thing we didn't ask him about complex ones, am I right?
On the ride home tonight, can we like maybe get an audiobook strictly based on explaining what Fulcrums
I know Trick and Calder said that there are others, but you can't, like, you take me on a date first, mate.
What are you talking about? Like, I give you the ride home and everything? Like, I'll even let you control the radio. Deal?
Right, deal. Flash up on mid. Oh, nice knockback there for the Junkrat. Going to be Jay Shrite on that. But not enough to gain a kill. Went a bit more of a sideways explosion than a backwards one. Zoning on to... Okay, so this is interesting. So sending the Junkrat to be the solo, normally I would look at this and go, that's awesome, right? Junkrat's going to be able to body Malthael, or at least be overly problematic. But what is Malthael vulnerable to, generally, when we look at him in the offlane? It's typically those ganks. You know who is significantly easier to get ganked upon? It's got to be Junkrat. And you could be like, well, what if he drops the concussion mine? Do you really think he's going to have much time to react? If Team Freedom identifies this lane mismatch, the answer is this is going to be a Portal Zugrug dream down below and constantly looking for those kills.
Yeah, the Medivh factor to get that portal and that gap closer of Diablo definitely makes it much more difficult. We'll see how safe he stays down there. But right now, we do have our skirmish continuing here in the mid lane as we see Shrite. He's fine for now. Zugrug and team moving forward here.
Portal laid out. It's going to help make up for the rotational struggles. Nice route there from Tomster, actually making it difficult. Zugrug unable to make it through.
Portal didn't quite last as long as they had hoped for, because he actually came through. Like, Yoda came through, and he's like, he went through and he came back. He's like, this is fine.
What was Medivh's old level one?
Quickening, so it was the cooldown reduction.
Oh,
the extra time used to be 13. Now,
I was just memeing at the fact that that's never going to be an option. And we're likely going to see multiple moments where we see teams go, but that portal, like, right, like last second.
Used to be there.
A bit too far. Early, it wasn't too punished quite yet. But it's just one of those moments where it's going to be cool seeing that, you know, because Medivh is a hero that is so dependent on how your team functions with them. It's almost not like, ooh, the nerfs to Medivh. It's like, ooh, the nerfs to everybody learning how to play with new Medivh. And that was part of the, I'm going to call it growing pains. Jin may be feeling a bit of growing pains here at the HGC as Zugrug flipping over, throwing that suplex and shadow charge into the wall, going to set him down to 50%. The rotation still continuing for these two teams, but the fact that No Tomorrow's, you know, not getting threatened on that Junkrat on the bottom lane, I would say honestly is a huge win. Thrall is in the 4, Junkrat's not losing the solo too hard, and normally when you look at that, you would be like one of those two cases cannot be held true. So very well done here for No Tomorrow.
Equinox has managed to obtain 6 stacks so far on his Crash Lightning. Maybe a little bit less, I think, than we would see maybe on other battlegrounds, but it is still early. Again, having those minions there lowers the probability of completing that a little bit earlier. Right now, everything pretty even across the board. No Tomorrow, just a few gems shy of having enough for their first turn, and Dread, the first turn in, extremely valuable on this battleground.
It is. It really kind of starts to snowball very, very fast. Equinox actually getting pushed onto the back line, but he didn't care too much. A lot of damage there onto Lutano. It's enough to get Greymane in. Casanova, you talked about him and how much, what was it, like 3.5 something?
3.6.
Oh, 3.6 average kills. We're going to go ahead and bump that one up to a 3.7 after that one because it was clean.
He is strong on that hero, to say the least. And right now, that is 2 kills in favor of No Tomorrow. See if they can get a turn in. Jin's going to turn in 7 here. I think the rest, for the most part, yeah, it's going to be on Junkrat there as he's been kind of left alone. Him and Nasmus both sitting on 21. We'll see if we can get those turned in. Coming in for the zone.
The ever-looming Raven with the mysterious gem logo. Yoda going to go ahead and drop a portal after his last interrupt attempt. Malthael doing his best off to the side. I think that's my favorite part about Raven Form, is it just shows you, here's 14 gems, mysteriously.
You know, as much as I've seen, I don't think I've ever really paid attention to that, but now that I see it, I can't unsee it. I don't know whether to thank you or
I apologize,
kick your stool out from under you.
That's one of those things that you wish you could go back
Is it like watching Mecha Tassadar in the draft screen?
Yes.
Oh, I hope nobody remembers that next time they see Tassadar.
All right, so another turn-in attempt. We'll see how quickly that's thwarted. Flipped over, silence there from Collusion. Shrite is fine. Response damage going to be there from Jin and friends.
They have enough turn-in. They have enough gems for a turn-in through the other members now. It's been stalled out long enough that the rest have obtained quite a bit. Nasmus, juking and jiving.
It's really good timing on the turnaround there for Nasmus, not only because of the concussion mine, but more so just considering the chokes and opportunities to get a flank around. If things really got too hairy and they followed all the way through, even hitting that trap, he could have gotten the TP the other way and maybe keep himself up. It's one of those, doesn't really gain anything, but if you know, you kind of make that mistake a little bit, you know, elsewhere on the map, you maybe get punished, and I feel like we saw one of those just happen, or maybe didn't, but Gul'dan drops No Tomorrow. Followed up with 50 gems turned in, first Webweaver phase, and they now, this is really, if they get a couple of front walls, this is where the snowball of Tomb of the Spider Queen, since these kind of Heroes of the Storm changes have come in, it really matters.
2 towers is equivalent to the experience of 1 fort. So if you're looking at where you get more control, it's generally going to be taking 2 fort walls as opposed to a fort, or 2 fort towers and half of a fort. As we see Yoda get rooted there, but look at the experience bar, right? You'll see this tower fall, you'll see it really start to spike up, and it generally happens about the 5.5, 6 minute mark, especially close to 10. There's a big chunk of XP. They'll rotate up. This will hopefully clear out. I think that's what they're hoping for.
I will say the focus towards top rather than bottom, though, I think is a pretty big setback here for No Tomorrow. Just because the rotations here between these two is going to be much slower, even cause a flip onto Equinox and get him out of position. Is Malfurion going to make it there in time? He does. There's the heal. There's the Sunder. Lutano, without a heroic, can't turn this fight. There is no cooldown counter initiation. This looks like it's going to be a victim of, or excuse me, a fort laying victim here to No Tomorrow. Junkrat sieging bottom all the like this entire time, dominating that lane. This is now a win-win-win scenario on every single lane for No Tomorrow.
I think the reason we have to point out the snowball is because it's 8.5 to 8. And then when you get those towers, you're so close to 10 that the enemy team cannot defend appropriately. Saving Equinox there was big because now they obtain 10. They walk down 1 fort. Now they're going to be able to potentially walk 2 just with the threat of heroics. And that's the snowball opportunity you have on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
But there are a couple of things, you know, slightly different from what we normally see with teams in this kind of circumstance. Or at least, you know, HGC North America of old, and that is the fact that there's been 0 gems risks on the side of Team Freedom. They are in a position, and I'm going to leave it at just that, only a position to get that self a double turn-in opportunity, mainly because, I mean, to be honest, they have to not only be effective with their decision-making rotations and denying No Tomorrow over the major advantage that they have to be very, very forceful with this initiation and turn-ins pre-13, which is very unlikely, as both teams end up picking their night camps. They're going to match up through mid. It's all a vision game around the double turn-in.
You know, No Tomorrow is an interesting approach. They actually had an opportunity to get back-to-back turn-ins.
Sunder?
Oh, that synergy is not there, Dreadnought, because...
Actually saved his life.
Yeah, it saved his life, and the APOC's going to be the counter as well. But they had an opportunity for back-to-back turn-ins, elected not to when they saw that the night camp was picked up on the other side. So they're playing for the long game. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't try and snowball 13 there.
I'd agree with you, but the fact that they went for the pick, and now that the Sunring's been used and Riptire, if I'm Freedom, I feel like they'd be, you know, looking to go a little bit harder here with this attempt.
By the way, no ley line.
Yeah, I noticed that too as well. It's going to be the poly bomb.
Oh, Yoda though. Nice massive shove there by Collusion to keep his team alive, hitting the big weighted pustule as well, locking down 2 members of No Tomorrow's Equinox and Tomster are pushed back, but Casanova, he's still, oh, that's, I read 12 at first. He does have enough for the turn in there, and now with a threat of 13, we'll see if No Tomorrow tries to be aggressive one more time.
So the top port ended up being the one that fell because of the early siege attempt towards top rather than that of bottom. We'll see if they can kind of capitalize on the fact that bottom Webweaver is going to survive a lot longer than a majority of the others unless they make the rotation to match it. Nasmus out of position. That's 49 gems. That's the biggest thing here. Yoda let out the escape pod known as that portal.
Sunder and Riptire are back and available. APOC still 15 seconds away. See if they want to get aggressive. 13 to 11. Freedom, they're defending bot lane first, but it looks like they actually have their eyes on Junkrat. Junkrat ends up going down to last right strip.
That might be, oh,
Sunder.
That's definitely worth it after they get the split. Sunder gonna land. The Webweaver comes in with the force of will. Actually gets the heal onto Nasmus. He keeps himself alive. Yoda, though, is on the other side of the team. No portal available for some time. Sanctification dropped on Tyrael as he's going to chase 1 versus 3. The portal, oh my, Yoda actually gets interrupted there by Tomster with that Moonfire. Very well done. That was a huge trade, though, for Freedom. This is actually a big win. Not only is No Tomorrow gaining, I don't want to say nothing because they obviously gained something, but they didn't gain a lot on the map with their objectives. They ended up going 1 for 1 in trades, and whenever you're down that much experience, this is huge for Freedom. And the biggest thing was those 50 gems, they're still in the hands of Freedom.
Yeah, they're still sitting on
107.
Way over, yeah, I was going to say way over the turn in amount. It's a matter of creating an opportunity right now. 13 right around the corner. They're going to look to try and get this bottom camp, keep bottom lane pushed out, then look to push out top and mid in some way or another, draw the attention of No Tomorrow away. They do have Tyrael, though, on their side to be that goaltender, to scout it out, keep an eye on things. You also have Junkrat to poke from distance. So it's a matter of goaltending for now, and trying to hit that 16 tier and deny it from Team Freedom.
Malthael's
Junkrat.
every single time, man. He is audibly one of the most, I don't know, entertaining is the word I'm going to use, but the one I don't really feel heroes in the game.
You go with entertaining.
13 Talonteers here. Freedom has to get this turn in over this time frame. They have no ley line initiation. It's all up to a counter momentum APOC attempt. I mean, part of that is obviously because the Sanctification Polybomb point and click to turn it. It's very, very effective there. Question is that worth losing such a clear opener to a, you know, what is the legendary Wombo combo of North America, the Medivh Diablo? Still yet to kind of be shown. Nasmus starts the channel. Interrupted by Tomster.
Corruption still sitting at 31 stacks, so Echoed Corruption not finished yet. Only 16 Crash Lightning stacks. They get the root onto Zugrug. The Sunder goes out, but a little bit too late as Zugrug was able to make it through the portal dread.
This is the 4th time we've seen a Sundering go down, and nobody on Team Freedom has any interest of team fighting. I'm beginning to hit a point where I go, does Team Freedom not feel like they can win this game? I mean, they have a lot of gems, and obviously they want to play it safe at this point in time, but they are now rounding what is a No Tomorrow, 16 Talonteer, another Webweaver phase into immediate boss, minimum top key possibly game. It is a tough spot, and they just watch that initiation happen, back tap, take the knights. If they do not look at this and go, yeah, we fight like this, I'm going to be amazed. There's the Horrified, there's the Polybomb. It's going to cause Ice Block, but it's only stalling the inevitable. I will say, I don't know if I give that to Freedom being overly aggressive as much as a weak goaltending attempt from No Tomorrow.
That's not who you want to.
Yeah, not the Malfurion at least.
I mean, Alun's Grace was nice, but that's not there anymore. Plus, against the Diablo, you can close that distance pretty quick.
I mean, he legitimately can, with the level 4, you know, he can match it faster than you can as any Malfurion. All right, so top Webweaver, unlikely to gain too much value for at least some time. 16 Talonteer still here. No Tomorrow is got a defensive advantage for about 17 seconds here. Freedom or excuse me, disadvantage up until that point. Then they'll have a big advantage once they get past that. Freedom should be looking to capitalize. Look at that portal flank down below. Junkrat able to use his W once, makes it out, starts the back, he'll be fine.
They get the rotation over, so this is a double fort play. They won't be able to push out the top. No tomorrow. You know, once they defend this, they'll be on even talent tiers. And that's where you want to be if you're Freedom. I mean, just getting lane control, evening up some of these structures. Now each team has one fort left standing, albeit the one on Freedom side probably has about 2 health left. But this is right where Freedom wanted to be to get back into this game. One pick has turned this into a dead even games in terms of experience, but in terms of gem control, heavily in favor of Team Freedom.
They're going to get the classic double turn in attempt here. No boss being attempted quite yet, and because vision is shown towards Junkrat up on the top half, they know that boss is not at least started yet for No Tomorrow. Jin comes to check things out here down below. All heroics available in this game. Malthael still yet to pick up his 16.
Tomster again is getting flipped. Now Tranquility is out, so is the Polybomb, and now No Tomorrow looking for the re-engage. Portal out right now for Team Freedom. They are on retreat. Riptire coming out. I don't know if this is going to accomplish a whole lot, Dread.
That looked like that entire team fight was just everybody press R. We're going to throw out the heroics. Not too much gaining the synergy and value that you'd hope. No Tomorrow zoning off with this Junkrat Riptire. Nice job there from Collusion, able to get the interrupt onto Equinox. It's going to stop this Webweaver phase from starting.
Ooh, that Ruinous Affliction. Now that the Echoed Corruption is finished, it's going to go rolling back there. And speaking of rolling back, Shrite getting locked in, but the Concussion Mine again in the root. The anti-synergy here, Dre.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication there. Blue Webweaver's now going to be picked up. Team Freedom has to be so thankful out of how all of that went down. If they end up losing that fight, they lost win conditions. That's the biggest difference between No Tomorrow and Team Freedom there, is No Tomorrow was risking, you know, this game going back to even / potentially, you know, finally finding themselves on the back foot, whereas Freedom goes, if we lose this fight, we probably lose this game. All of our gems would be wasted. You'd have too much control. So the fact that they hold on, can stall this out here. Now the biggest thing is how effective is the HP of the bottom Webweaver? How long does that end up surviving, and can that lead to a bottom, or essentially a boss rotation immediately after for Freedom? As Freedom does have enough for a turn in actually, but No Tomorrow, not quite the case. Or I guess they're closing in.
Polybomb's going to be there, but Shrite using that Concussion Mine to get out. Medivh's cooldown on that heroic, not that long. You can risk things like that. The lurking arm is there. Jin going in a little bit deep, might have overstepped his bounds, uses that holy ground, but the last rites comes in there. That little bit of a misplay there, Dre.
Yeah, a little bit of a misplay, but a lot of that was Collusion with a really great zone, and the punishment there from the Malfurion. Sundering goes in trying to split. Collusion gets one shot with that punishment there for Equinox as they go through the portal. Ends up walking into that Webweaver damage, and it's a little bit fearsome. Talking about fearsome, there's going to be a fear used by Lutano, portal taken. And the 4 members of Freedom end up making it out 1-for-1 trade, but structurally speaking, Freedom really pulls ahead.
Freedom has enough for another turn in.
Yes.
That's what's crazy about this, but they're going to turn their attention, get this keep down. Things are starting to spiral out of control here for No Tomorrow. They have to return and be aggressive in defense here, because if Team Freedom gets another turn in Dread, it could potentially be game ending, especially because 20 tier is close.
2 people have enough turn in for No Tomorrow by themselves, and it's Thrall, which is already starting the channel. So this is Webweaver phase in favor of No Tomorrow to be able to buy this out. But yeah, you're right. The 20s, the spikes coming out to this, it's not like this is going to be overly profitable Webweaver phase. That was one of those moments where No Tomorrow, if they did see, you know, Freedom try and contest them, that they ideally want to split up those two, poke around, look for a kill. But the fact that Freedom gave it up for free and No Tomorrow committed the turn in that fast, it makes it to where this is going to be very difficult. And again, that kind of win condition problem of Tomb of the Spider Queen, it will fall towards that top boss. Whereas not the case for Freedom, as they have kept almost every gem they've collected throughout this whole game.
Well, No Tomorrow did their best, because Catapults plus Siege Giants actually win a lane against Webweavers. So you could see Junkrat, Jay Shrite down there clearing out as best he can to buy time, because that's what they're going to need. 20 will be picked up here momentarily for No Tomorrow once they get these towers down. Dread, with that bottom lane exposed, it's almost like they have to be aggressive with every step that they take from here on out.
Not going to get the 20 yet, not committing to that turret.
There it is.
Ends up going down.
Let the minions finish it. We don't want to be near there.
Arena is the choice there for Tyrael. What else have we got? Nothing too crazy. Wait, is that Earthbreaker?
It is. Create the barrier.
Are you?
World Breaker. They're going to make a play to the boss. And I don't know. Well, they're actually not going to make a play for the boss. I think they might try and bait this out. Or not. They're just going to...
Raven. Normally, I would say this is a big play and a good play, but into Medivh, he literally has 0 counterplay to scouting that, so it's one of those moments where you go, unless you all in, you know, kind of the boss immediately, you can't start the boss, but feigning the boss doesn't get much better, nor does it gain you that, ooh, what if they step out too far kind of advantage or hope.
You have World Breaker and you have Holy Ground. So if it does come down to that, yes, there is APOC, yes, there is Horrify, and yes, there's Polybomb, but there is some leverage on your side that you can try and maintain. This is tense.
It is. And a lot of it's going to come down to this turn-in. Territorial fights, I would argue, go in favor of No Tomorrow. Polybomb used, they really want this turn-in. 56 drops, but they need 2. Keep in mind, Lutano has enough and Nasmus enough for the solo turn-in. The only 2 members who have a solo turn-in here for Freedom.
Hellgate picked up for Diablo. Blink in at any moment to try and turn this fight. So far, No Tomorrow. They're holding on, both teams kind of posturing around the turn-ins, trying to find an opportunity. You see the Raven form continuing to keep an eye on things. Lutano, remember, all it takes is 4. Lutano gets the turn-in.
3 catapults kind of collecting themselves on bottom. It's going to immediately demand the response of No Tomorrow. Want to get rid of this. The Webweaver phase quick to kind of follow up behind it. Ideally, I guess it won't matter that much at this point in time. I was going to say maybe trying to get the mini wave to set back so it's easier clear, but it's probably going to be unrealistic to get a full clear on this bottom Webweaver phase for No Tomorrow, especially, again, with clearing that mini wave out.
You know, they have the tools for defense. They've got Greymane, post-level 20, does really good in human form to be able to splash that damage. You have Junkrat, big grenades going out, a lot of zoning control, but now No Tomorrow trying to hold on, find themselves down 2-0 in this series as the Webweavers will be pushing forward. The bottom lane puts you on a clock as those will be pushing in with catapults here very soon. Right now, No Tomorrow, their defense starts right here in the middle lane.
Zugrug zoning out, portal drop, nobody gonna move through yet. So that mid Webweaver already falling. Bottom Webweaver sitting at 50% HP, moving up towards the core. Top keep ended up falling. Webweaver there, still sitting above 50% as well. Echo Corruption getting the value. Cursed Bullet going on to Zugrug, dropping him low. No Force of Will used yet, but the portal, it'll be taken. Initiation attempt here for No Tomorrow, but it's merely just that, an attempt. As they hold off here, this middle keep and damage onto the core. 60 gems, enough for a Webweaver face. Massive shove for Collusion. He's way out of position. No punishment. Sundering. They do not take the, what I'm going to call a bait there, but Zugrug maybe out too far. Has to use that bolt out. Look at that Polybomb onto Jin, though. He thinks they get the kill. The confidence sanctification drops, denies.
Catapults are still on core, though. Diablo's got souls. The catapult was cleared up, and now No Tomorrow with the aggression. Nasmus stuck in the backside. He's under assault, and that's going to be it. Mouthdale going down, Dread.
There's no ability. Oh, wait. Okay, here we go.
Cheating death for both of them.
Yeah, but then look at this. Now they're going to go ahead and start this boss, but then they quickly realize, but wait, the double catapult building on bottom, 73% on our core. We can't risk this, guys.
Oh, my God.
What do we do?
Diablo Realm heroes just making everybody's life miserable.
As a guy,
look at this.
I played a Resurgence of the Storm. I really don't like that. Whenever those mechanics get stacked on the same team, it's so hard to figure out your win condition.
They're not going to make it in time.
They aren't. They don't. Even if they scout it, Tyrael will not be able to get the Q in.
No
Jin has the
sanctification.
Q right now.
World Breaker is there, the charge in, nobody's on point. World Breaker's keeping them off. Jen is on point, but the lurking arm is going down. They can't give this up. No Tomorrow trying to make their stand as Holy Ground goes down. Holy Ground is not enough. There's 1, there's 2. It's a 2 for 2 so far.
He got the boss. It's a 2 for 2, and they won it. No Tomorrow got the boss. They kept themselves alive. Look at that portal out. Yoda trying to keep himself alive. Jay Shrite cannot go down at this point in time. Look at the core. Look at the core. There are so many minions. Freedom is going to win this game if the members of No Tomorrow cannot make it back. Look at Yoda. They're stopping him. He gets it. That's the best clearer. That's the best clearer. I don't think they can stop it anyways. Look at this damage.
Shrite has to get over here. 48% and falling. 2 catapults, chunking 4%. The concussion mine knocks them back. That might be enough. Jin and Junkrat, they're going to be here, but Lutano, Yoda, and Collusion moving towards the core. They're going in. Holy Ground, they're going to dance around with the portal here, and that's going to do it as Team Freedom manages to secure a wild ending to this game.
Wild is an understatement there, Jay. That was ridiculous, the last couple of seconds of that match. I mean, from the... Okay, first of all, I don't even know exactly what it was that did this, but there was a pre-cleanse. I'm guessing it's a pre-cleanse.